Hey everybody, Derek Gilman here at the Ganjier campus along with Kevin Jodrey, where we just finished filming a new lesson for the Ganjier Product Specialist program. Get us up to speed. What's a project you're particularly proud of right now you'd like to share with us?
Gosh, I got recently asked to write a chapter in a book. And so an individual named Angel Fernandez is the founder of My Flora DNA. Mm-hmm. And he was asked to write a book on cannabis science and history. And they asked if I could cover the topic of California and its role in the genetic development of cannabis.
All right, so like just the historical significance.
Yeah, how it all went down, and what was the impacts and influences of the world that created this situation where cannabis becomes this substance in California that reaches this critical mass level compared to the rest of the United States.
Yeah.
And what was the impacts of that? And it's important to understand, to me, it's always important to understand how you got to where you are so that you're able to really keep the line straight and then move it correctly. And so much of California cannabis was the result of these political instabilities and turbulence and I would say prejudices from the 50s that inspired different groups of people to travel the world to find cultural resonance with other groups, and part of that experience exposed them to cannabis for the first time. Mm-hmm. in a manner that was so normalized. And when they came back to the United States, so many of them settled up in Pacific Northwest California because there was space, and it allowed there to be these developments that were really parts of cultures taken from all over the world and brought together and combined, and it's what birthed our culture.
People coming back with genetics from Mexico, mm-hmm. coming back with genetics from Southeast Asia, or maybe they took this some Silk Road kind of deal and brought some stuff back from there. And so they're bringing all these genetics back, but I'm sure that they're discovering that, like, hey, there's certain things that are maybe working a little better here.
It's that California covers from 30 to 42 in latitude. Mm-hmm. And so you catch basically Southeast Asia, top of Mexico, up into all the hash regions. And so because California has these very unique climates, and it has this Mediterranean climate in like the Sierras, up in the Emerald Triangle, Santa Cruz area, that balmy environment with the hot days, cool nights just allowed there to be this incredible quality of product. Mm-hmm. And the genes that were taken from around the world just really matched well when they found the right microclimates. And so you started to see these pockets of development, and those pockets of development launched the United States desire for this type of cannabis. So I mean, historically, Mexico produced the cannabis for the United States, then Colombia takes over, the war on drugs kicks in, and it completely creates this, a domestic industry. But that domestic industry was able to move so quickly because all the products from around the world had been worked here for 10, 15 years. Mm-hmm. And it allowed there to be a development that created Epicurean experience. And so to me, that early era of cannabis was where you got really some of the most diverse profiles. You didn't have such a homogenized situation that we do today.
You're talking like in maybe like mid-late 70s, early 70s?
Yes.
Right?
All the way right into that 80s, and then you'll go into that mid-80 period where the war on drugs just made it so that the only thing that was coming into the U.S. drug-wise was basically cocaine. And so for people who weren't into cocaine and they were cannabis consumers, what they were catching was primarily cannabis from Humboldt County. So Humboldt County, Mendocino, Trinity, the Emerald Triangle, it was about 85% of the cannabis in the United States was being produced in this area. But at that time, what you had was this incredible diversity based off of all these dissimilar gene pools brought together.
Yeah.
And it was when I got here in '90, it was just incredible because to me that was like my zenith of the cannabis world, because it was the era where each farm, each homestead, each mountain, each hill had their own gene pool they worked. And it allowed you this massive diversity that I've never seen since. As we started to really get into, we would call like hype cannabis, it started to keep compressing the gene pool. So the more we started to say only this thing has value, the less everything else was produced.
Yeah.
And we lost out on a tremendous number of nuances. And so it was really neat to go and do the research for the chapter that I got to write, because it let me go back in my own travels in California and really just kind of re-experience what it was that made that so special and why I got to experience it and was so profoundly impacted.